Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Sasha and Michael panic when Daisy disappears. Based on the weekly video preview, General Hospital spoilers for the week of July 7th to 11th suggest drama and mayhem in Port Charles. Marco Rios pledges retribution, Natalia Ramirez's altered autopsy results are released, and Daisy Celeste disappears. Fans can expect some shocking revelations in the ABC soap opera's next weekly preview video, so it's time to start talking about what will happen over the following 5 days. A scenario with Anna Devane, Sonny Corinthos, and Laura Collins in the interrogation room at the police station opens GH's preview. Natalia's autopsy report, which Anna claims to have, is probably hers. Laura asks what's in it as she says this, and Anna pulls a dramatic look. Does Natalia's death suggest foul play, or was there some meddling involved? If there wasn't a narrative twist like this in store for viewers, why else would the show bring it up? The voice of Lulu Spencer can be heard in the background as the scenes change, saying, "She came for our son." The weekly GH preview has a footage of an enraged Lulu punching Brooklyn Quartermain Chase in the face. Lulu appears to be able to delve into other people's family matters, but she finds it intolerable when someone does the same to her. What consequences, if any, would Lulu experience for going too far in such a brutal direction? While his father, Jens Sidwell, is not visible, Marco is in a scene at his house telling him, "Sonny can't get away with this." Sidwell's voice can be heard replying, "He won't," as Sonny's worried face moves across the screen during the GH commercial for the week of July 7th. As the preview comes to a close, a distraught Sasha Corbin can be seen yelling, "Daisy," while staring at an empty crib. Michael Corinthos is shocked to learn that their baby daughter has been taken, so she rushes out of the nursery to see him. According to General Hospital spoilers, these advertisements can occasionally be a little deceptive. Has Daisy been abducted, or did someone else in the Quartermain mansion remove her from her crib to console her? Time will tell. Do fans of General Hospital think Jocelyn's Vaughn replacement romance was a failure and the death of Dex Heller was a mistake? Given that Jocelyn Jack's replacement romance with Vaughn is failing, a lot of fans are beginning to wonder if murdering off Dex Heller was a mistake, according to General Hospital spoilers. Through all of this WSB turmoil, we get that the GH writers wanted to send Jocelyn in a different route, but her new love partner is far from ideal. To be honest, Vaughn feels like a huge step down from Dex and isn't a particularly developed character yet. To make things worse, Jocelyn was thrust into all the spy games without really having a grieving arc. The emotional benefits of getting rid of Dex in such a permanent manner were little. Naturally, Jocelyn's decision to kill Cyrus Renault and go on this WSB journey was influenced by Dex's passing. Even that, though, seems unimpressive because Jocelyn's murder of Cyrus was swiftly forgotten. Perhaps Jocelyn's part in all of that will still be revealed. Since Jack Brennan utilized the entire Cyrus incident to entice Carly Spencer to become his recruit, she should at least be aware that Jocelyn pulled the trigger. In any case, the point is that it might not have been worth it to murder Dex. Even though Dex wasn't a particularly compelling character, he was undoubtedly superior to Vaughn and had a stronger bond with Jocelyn. Vaughn was introduced as Jocelyn's WSB handler since it seems like the production wanted to develop a Dex-like character to take his place when he left. For Jocelyn's next great love tale, Vaughn isn't as likable as Dex and doesn't have the same vibe. In the episode airing on July 7th, Jocelyn appears to be planning a highly public breakup with Vaughn, which will mostly focus on breaking the relationship they have been pretending to have. There is potential for Vaughn and Jocelyn to continue their relationship after they shared a sincere kiss outside Charlie's pub. Jocelyn and Vaughn's romance is likely to continue to fail with fans, but we think it has more potential. Was it a mistake to eliminate Dex Heller and essentially use Vaughn in his place? Regarding Jocelyn and Vaughn as a loving couple, what are your thoughts? Stay tuned for updates on any startling developments in the inquiry, as General Hospital spoilers indicate that Vaughn and Jocelyn have a lot more WSB mayhem ahead of them. Anna vs. Sidwell and Sasha's terrifying finding. Watch the upcoming GH to see how these gripping plotlines develop because the turmoil in Port Charles is far from over. Jens Sidwell being questioned by Anna Devane. Sasha Gilmore Corbin, meanwhile, discovers something terrible. Lulu Spencer taken by surprise. Let's start with Rocco Falconeri, who recently discovered Britt Westbourne's involvement in his life. One day, Lulu and Dante Falconeri would tell him, of course, but not just now. Unfortunately, Lulu is now receiving a taste of her own medicine because the secret has been revealed. Rocco will insist on the facts. But Lulu will be furious after enduring the consequences of this secret being revealed. You can anticipate her going up against Brooklyn Quartermaine. The defense of Brooklyn Quartermaine BLQ was about to tell Rocco the truth, but she decided against it. But Rocco still viewed the file. It sounds a lot like what happened to Giovanni Gio Palmieri, Lois Cerullo, and Lulu. Additionally, BLQ will make amends with Cody Bell. Carly Spencer interrogated. According to today's episode spoilers for General Hospital, Gio interrogates Carly Spencer. Gio is aware that Carly, who is also his ex-wife, is supporting the crime leader. Carly may therefore provide Gio some things to think about in relation to Sonny. Fans will also witness Anna questioning Sidwell on Monday, July 7, 2025. Usually, the culprit manages to maintain composure when confronted by the police. But he becomes angry with Anna and orders her to go ask Sonny questions. Sidwell won't simply hold Sonny responsible for Charlie's pub fire. Additionally, he will blame Sonny for Natalia Ramirez's passing. Later, Sonny discusses damage control with Laura Collins. This might be related to Ezra Boyle. Jocelyn Jacks is also present, and she informs Vaughn that they are finished. That was a short-lived romance. Sasha, on the other hand, discovers something terrible about Daisy Gilmore Corinthos. Sasha believes she is going mad because someone has been manipulating her thoughts. Fans are aware that Sasha isn't going insane, though. This time, what happens to the baby? General Hospital, Jason's turning point. Danny's life is at risk during exploding turf war. Port Charles never sleeps, and it seems like the darkness is encroaching on them more quickly than it used to. Another wildfire breaks out before the embers of Charlie's pub have subsided, one that has the potential to permanently alter Jason Morgan's life. Jason has experienced loss, chaos, and danger before. However, what if the consequences strike closer than ever this time, specifically affecting the one person he has vowed to protect with his final breath? Danny Morgan, his son. Furthermore, the ticking time bomb lies not just beneath Sonny's empire but also beneath Jason's heart, with Jen Sidwell unhinged, Marco Rios inadvertently in the crosshairs, and Sonny Corinthos primed for retribution. It was intended to be a clean operation, a message, but the pub burns and the fallout ignites. When Jen Sidwell gave the order to set Charlie's pub on fire, he told his men that Sidwell, who was keen to deprive Sonny of his resources and power, wanted the location removed since it had served as a symbol of Corinthos' dominance for too long. Without causing innocent blood to shed, a fire that was planned for when the tavern was deserted would have delivered a frightening message to Port Charles. However, it was not intended for Christina Corinthos Davis to be inside. She is now lying shook, covered in soot, and only survived because Marco Rios, the man's son, ran through flames and carried her out. Marco turned into a reluctant hero despite never wanting to be a pawn in his father's vengeance. However, none of them could have predicted how the mayhem of that night would reverberate. Sonny is furious. Not just because Sidwell dared to attack his family, but also because his daughter almost perished. Jason is the thunder that follows Sonny's rage, if Sonny's rage is a storm. He has returned, silent and resolute, observing every action and assessing every objective. There will never be any question about his loyalty to Sonny. However, allegiance doesn't matter to Sidwell. He just sees targets, and the next one on his list is Jason's son. Marco Rios was put in a precarious situation in the hours after the fire, raising doubts about his loyalty. Christina feels thankful that he saved her. However, Sonny? All Sonny sees is blood. Regardless of what transpired at the pub, he is certain that Marco's allegiance is to Jen's. As always, Jason observes Sonny's discussion on Marco. The chill. The silent dangers. He finds it unsettling, not because he disagrees, but because he is aware of what occurs when collateral harm is accepted. It always begins with one individual. Then another. Then a kid. He considers Danny. Jason spends more time than normal standing in Danny's room back at his penthouse. Despite the world outside falling out of control, the boy is sound asleep with his headphones on. As Jason runs a hand across his son's blanket, he ponders what might occur if Sidwell chooses to strike back. Sidwell crossed a line because he didn't anticipate Marco's disobedience. Furthermore, he didn't anticipate that he would end up saving the girl whose near-death experience was initially intended to be prevented. Now, Sidwell feels insulted rather than nearly irritated. He believed that Sonny ought to have folded by now. Rather, the mob boss is assembling his army and preparing for battle. At the heart of everything is Jason, who works with Brick to be ready, strengthens the Corinthos' defenses, and pulls threads that even Sidwell finds unsettling. Sidwell makes the decision to change the battlefield at that point. He was betrayed by Marco. Sonny makes fun of him. Both are made possible by Jason. What, then, would cause Jason the most pain? Danny. Late one evening at Sidwell's Windmere Refuge, the idea is born. Pictures from a private surveillance team Sidwell maintains on Sonny's closest friends and family are strewn around the desk. Danny is seen walking to school in one picture. Another depicts him and Jason leaving the Metro Court. Danny's vulnerability is undeniable. One of Sidwell's soldiers is called. The directive is to watch the boy closely. Observe him. Find out his patterns. However, bide your time. After a few days, Jason starts to feel threatened. His instincts, which he has developed over the years of working in the field, start to prickle. An automobile that has been parked on his street for too long is the first sign. Danny's school gate was approached too closely by a man. The moment Jason answers, the call ends. At first, he dismisses it. Perhaps he has paranoia. Perhaps the conflict with Sidwell is wearing him down. However, during breakfast, Danny says something. He mutters, "Some guy was outside school again," while he spoons oatmeal. Jason freezes and says, "I think he was taking pictures." He keeps Danny in his line of sight that day. Caught in the crossfire, Christina, who is still recuperating from the fire, goes to the Corinthos compound without realizing that tensions are at an all-time high. She gives Marco another thank you for saving her, and their exchange is intense, silent, and complex. Marco informs her that he is going out of town. With Sonny thinking he's the enemy, it's not safe for him. Christina begs her dad to leave Marco alone. Sonny, however, is still. He is the son of his father, Sonny states icily. You don't just erase that. Jason observes the conversation and realizes that things are getting out of control too quickly. He informs Sonny about Danny's spying that evening. Sonny loses his temper. Now they're pursuing our children, he snarls. Jason doesn't respond. He is already preparing the retaliation. A message in the night. After spending a long night in Sonny's warehouse, Jason arrives home late. He's tired, yet something isn't right. The front door is opened by a crack. His blood becomes icy. With a thumping heart, he draws his gun. He moves silently through the rooms. No indication of an intruder. There is nothing lacking. Nothing came into contact. Except for one thing. Danny has a Polaroid picture on his desk. Danny is seen making his way home from school on foot. Not yet. Jason's palm clenches as the photo's back reads. He phones Brick, locks all the doors, activates more alarms, and pockets the picture. Just now, the game shifted. The repercussions of Natalia's death. In the meantime, the city is still in shock over Natalia Ramirez's unexpected overdose. The lady who once possessed equal parts charm and guile is now reduced to ashes by scandal and grief. Few people believe Sonny when he says he had nothing to do with her death. Not Marco. Not Christina. The press, no. Sidwell portrays Sonny as the villain responsible for her death, using it as a flag. Jason observes the shift in public sentiment. They write articles. Commentators make assumptions. In the shadows, Sidwell smiles, enjoying the mayhem. However, Jason is more focused on the fact that Sidwell is actually surrounding his son like a shark than he is on hearsay. The attempt at kidnapping takes place on a Tuesday. Jason brings Danny to the park, where there are very few people present and it is early in the morning. It's meant to be secure. It's expected to be typical. Danny is giggling. Throwing a football. Jason is comfortable but on his guard. The van then screams around the corner in the blink of an eye. Two men jump out. Jason moved more quickly than he usually does. One man is disarmed and tackled. Jason shoots him in the leg, knocking him down as the other runs away. Moments later, sirens shriek. Danny is unhurt but frightened. Jason is calm and silent, but a storm is brewing within of him. This wasn't a scare strategy. They were trying to steal his son. Now it's personal. Jason's line in the sand, although the PCPD requests statements, Jason doesn't hold back. He departs from Danny with Monica and makes his way directly to Sunny. This is over, he declares. Sunny nods, his eyes bloodshot with rage. Now. Over the course of the following 72 hours, Jason locates every individual Sidwell has ever collaborated with. He discovers their names, families, and vulnerabilities. Sidwell desired conflict. He is going to acquire one now. Jason makes sure Danny is untouchable first, though. A private security force is established by Brick. Spinelli breaches all of Sidwell's possessions. The near kidnapping has rattled Michael, who also offers his own protection. For a week, Jason sits and watches every night in Danny's room. The unexpected turn of events, then the call arrives. Brick discovers something. A leak. Sidwell has been receiving information from someone inside the Corinthos circle. They were aware of Jason's itinerary in this way. They found Danny in this way. Brick explains everything to Jason, including the images, the secret money transfers, and the text messages. The name, too. Dante. A last account? Jason is in disbelief. At first, he does not believe it. Sunny's son, Dante Falconeri. But there is proof. There is no denying the betrayal. There will inevitably be a conflict. However, Sidwell disappears before Jason can reach Dante. His whole crew vanishes. And there's a fresh message. Next time, we don't miss. What's next? Jason finds himself at a fork in the road. One phrase, texted to his phone. He has had adversaries in the past, but none have attacked what is most important. Danny was almost snatched. The danger remains. And someone became a traitor within their own group. Jason is aware that Port Charles appears tranquil in the morning light. The actual conflict has just started. And it's not just about Sunny this time. It has to do with his son. Jason Morgan has finished his wait. He will get them all. General Hospital spoilers, does Drew covertly document Curtis bribing Jacinda after Kai's tip pays off? According to General Hospital spoilers, Drew Kane might covertly capture Curtis Ashford bribing Jacinda. Will Drew gain the advantage as a result of Kai Taylor's tip? GH viewers are aware that Kai prioritized his commitment to Drew over his allegiance to Trina Robinson. Kai laid the foundation for more conflict by blabbering to Drew about Curtis' Jacinda plot rather than defending Trina's family. In order to entice Jacinda to assist with his scheme, Curtis hopes Felicia Scorpio can track her down. Jacinda is supposed to pretend that Drew paid her for their passionate evening and that he took the medications voluntarily. However, now that Kai has been talking to Drew, Curtis' plan appears to be about to go apart. Even though he doesn't have all the information, Drew is knowledgeable enough to build a trap and maybe put Curtis in danger. Drew might use devious tactics if Felicia returns Jacinda to Port Charles and grants Curtis the important meeting he desires. It's simple to think that Drew, possibly with Kai's assistance, would plant a recording device. In any case, Drew might surreptitiously capture Curtis and Jacinda's intimate chat. Maybe Drew could find evidence that Curtis offered to pay Jacinda to tell this false story, and if she agrees, he might find evidence that Jacinda agreed. Drew is likely to obtain significant advantage against an adversary during the week of July 7th to 11th. That can entail getting a significant edge over Curtis and intensifying the ongoing conflict. In any event, it appears that Drew will manage to maintain control in this situation. Trina will be furious when she learns of Kai's treachery because his tip will work against Curtis and favor Drew. Despite Kai's defense of his behavior, Trina will lose it and question whether Drew will always be his first priority. Fearsome hints show someone's claim on Baby Daisy General Hospital. Sasha's spiral. There was a strange vibe around the Quartermaine mansion. It's not the sort of off that's easily dismissed. Not the usual buzz of anxiety that permeated that mansion, which was haunted by old ghosts and power plays. This was different. It was colder and quieter. Sasha Gilmore Corbin was unable to identify it, but each time she entered her daughter's room, it seemed like an invisible hand pressing against her breast. Ever since they brought baby Daisy home from the hospital, the sensation had persisted. Sasha initially believed it to be the typical pandemonium of new motherhood, remaining fatigue. But as soon as she witnessed the bassinet event, that theory was disproved. It had begun so modestly. Humming gently as usual, Sasha had entered Daisy's room to see how she was doing when she heard the faint sound of the mobile chiming. It whirled softly above Daisy's head, but Sasha was positive she hadn't switched it on. Her initial reaction was to place the blame on herself. Perhaps she had accidentally left it running. Perhaps she had accidentally turned it on. However, as the days went by, similar occurrences started to occur. It was subtle, uncanny, and totally inexplicable. The spiral was now speeding dangerously and rapidly toward a horrifying culmination. The uncomfortable whisper of something wrong despite knowing she should have. Sasha hadn't told anyone much about this, not even Michael Corinthos. After all, he was Daisy's father. However, Sasha had felt as like she was holding on to her position in the family with her fingers ever since Willow's outburst in court and Drew's growing influence in their lives. She had previously been called delicate. Now that things had finally begun to feel somewhat normal, she couldn't afford to appear insane once more. However, nothing about the situation seemed typical. When she would wake up, she would discover Daisy in her crib, facing the other way. Her swaddle had changed, and her attire was quite different from what Sasha had remembered wearing the previous evening. Sometimes her bottle would be half empty when Sasha hadn't even warmed it, or the nightlight would be off while she insisted she had left it on. She initially doubted her own sanity. But the night she saw the footprints, that theory fell apart. There are tiny prints on the cream-colored rug next to the cot, which appear to be from socks or slippers. Not hers. Not Michael's. Not Daisy's, for sure. That night, Sasha remained motionless in the nursery, her heart thumping so violently in her chest that she was certain it would wake the infant. The room had been occupied by someone. And they were returning, whomever they were. July 7th, the tipping point when the calendar turned to July 7th, the day began as any other, too calm, too ideal. Despite the Quartermaine mansion's typical aloof cadence, Sasha couldn't get rid of the feeling that something horrible was about to happen. In her bones, she sensed it. She halted at the doorway as she entered Daisy's room that morning to change her. There was nothing in the crib. Her hands began to shake immediately. As she hurried nearer, the scream stuck in her throat. She heard Daisy's voice gurgle softly from the rocking chair. She had been put there by someone. Wide-eyed, uninjured, and neatly wrapped with her pacifier in place, but not where Sasha had left her 15 minutes prior. Slowly, she turned and looked around the room, focusing on the dresser. There was a vase of fresh daisies next to the framed picture of her and Michael. And there's a note next to it. The handwriting made her stomach turn. Panic takes hold of Sasha. She's mine. Before Sasha knew she had tossed the vase, it fell to the ground. She read the 3 words repeatedly until they were lost in her emotions, her hands shaking as she grasped the note. Clutching Daisy to her bosom, she staggered out of the nursery and rushed down the hallway, backing away. She continued till she arrived at the parlor, where Olivia and Brooke Lynn were standing in the middle of a conversation. They noticed Sasha's pale face and the crushed bouquet in her quivering hands, and they glanced up in shock, alarm settling over their faces. Sasha choked. He was in the room again. She was no longer in her cot. With trembling fingers, she gave them the note. And this. Olivia gasped as she read it out loud. Brooke Lynn moved closer and took hold of Sasha's arm. We are making a security call. Right now. A horrifying pattern. Sasha fell into Michael's arms as soon as he arrived, minutes after Olivia had warned him. She sensed the walls closing in on her even in that embrace, though he wasn't yet aware of its full significance. Michael made an effort to be comforting and soothing. He informed her that it was most likely merely a cruel joke, that perhaps one of the employees had moved Daisy and had neglected to mention it. Sasha, however, was not listening. She muttered, there was nobody else in that nursery. No one should have been. Despite searching the house, security did not discover any evidence of forced entry. No indications of intruders. Sasha's terror only intensified as a result. The person committing this was already inside, they weren't breaking in. There was someone inside those walls who thought Daisy was theirs. They also weren't going to quit. Fears and flashbacks. Sasha sat in the nursery once more that night, watching Daisy sleep while battling the storm that was building inside her chest. She was unable to close her eyes without seeing Brando and hearing the reverberations of Gladys's betrayal, including how she had been drugged, gaslighted, robbed, and institutionalized against her will. She had previously clawed her way back from the edge. However, this was something different. Her mental health wasn't the only issue here. Daisy was the subject of this. And there was a figure circling nearer. Another note showed up the following morning. Slipped beneath Daisy's door this time. Sasha wasn't left alone for long after Brooklyn said, "You're not fit to raise her." When family was under danger, Brooklyn didn't hesitate to act swiftly. She hired private investigators and used devious means to get in touch with Damien Spinelli. When Michael was uncertain about how much to escalate, Brooklyn firmly told him, "This is your child. Want to hold off until she's taken? Because I'm not." Jason was also included. His protective nature was immediately activated. In theory, the term Sidwell was muttered, but nobody could link the dots. Given his obsession with Sonny's company and Doc's, why would Jen Sidwell give a damn about Sasha or her child? Unless, of course, this wasn't Sidwell. Unless it was a personal matter. Sasha's decline. The strain was too much. In the days that followed, Sasha started to fall apart behind closed doors. She hardly ate or slept. Every shadow seemed dangerous. She jumped at every crack in the flooring. She fitted the doors with additional locks. Until daybreak, she remained awake in the nursery. She was afraid to leave Daisy alone, so she kept her close at hand at all times, even taking her into the shower. Everyone made an effort to assist. Michael made an effort to calm. Olivia made an effort to console. Brooklyn made an effort to organize. However, none of them comprehended. Sasha had lost one child already. She wouldn't make it through another loss. An old face? The third note followed. Between a feeding and a walk in the Quartermain Gardens, it was gently placed in Daisy's diaper bag. "I'll pick her up shortly. You'll see." Anger replaced panic. Sasha threw the note on the coffee table as she rushed into the living room. "Okay," she yelled, "if none of you believe me. However, I recognize this person." The room went silent, and I knew who it must be. Brooklyn's eyes narrowed. "Who?" Sasha paused. "Gladys." Is it true? In a strange way, it made sense. Gladys Corbin had already infiltrated Sasha's life by pretending to be a caring mother figure, acting as a substitute mother role following Sasha's death. But when Sasha discovered that Gladys had been taking money out of her accounts and coercing her into having a mental breakdown, that illusion had fallen apart. Then she was gone. Driven by Sonny himself out of town. Now, though, perhaps she was back. Perhaps she had been observing. Awaiting. Obsessive. 2 days later, something was captured on security film from the estate grounds. The house is being watched by a shadowy figure close to the hedges. It's too far to tell. Too shrewd to be caught on several fronts. However, Sasha no longer required confirmation. She was aware. There was Gladys. She also desired Daisy. What comes next? Sasha's despair will turn into action during the week of July 7th to 11th. She will insist on a thorough probe. She will plead with Jason to keep her safe. And she will take issues into her own hands if no one pays attention quickly enough. Because if Sasha Gilmore knows one thing for sure, it's that she will never let Daisy to leave her. Never again. Never. Not without a struggle. General Hospital spoilers, furious moms, dubious invitations, and furious girlfriends. The week of Monday, July 7, Friday, July 11's General Hospital teasers and updates hint to angry moms, dubious invitations, and furious girlfriends. Trina Robinson is furious, Elizabeth Baldwin receives a dubious invitation, and Lulu Spencer is furious. Horrible findings and furious mothers. Monday, July 7th, when Rocco Falconeri inquires as to whether Britt Westbourne was his surrogate mother, Lulu becomes furious with Brooklyn Quartermaine chase. In another scene, Sasha Corbin discovers something terrible. I pray it's not her kid that's gone. Gio Palmieri is looking to Carly Spencer for a fresh viewpoint in the interim. While everything is going on, Anna Devane confronts Jen Sidwell, who pretends to be innocent in order to deceive her. Brooklyn and Cody Bell make amends back at the Quartermaine estate. On the defensive, matchmaking Mac. Tuesday, July 8th, Brooklyn plays defense, probably against Lulu because she didn't want Rocco to see that file. However, will Lulu think she gave up? Probably not. As Cody continues his scheme, Max Scorpio tries his hand at matchmaking. Is this the scheme Christina Corinthos Davis enticed him to join? Wouldn't you want to be a fly on that wall? Ava Jerome confides in Nina Reeves in another scene. Elizabeth and Portia Robinson catch up in the interim, which should make for some fascinating talk to overhear. At last, Alexis Davis is impressed by someone or something. On Wednesday, July 9th, Rick Lansing extends an invitation that raises doubts. Elizabeth should be twice as cautious about Rick as she was about committing to Lucky Spencer. Michael Corinthos reassures Sasha in the interim, possibly over the safety and well-being of their daughter Daisy Gilmore. While he was abroad, Willow Tate disregarded the custody judge's orders, and Drew Kane warns her about it. In another scene, Felicia Scorpio informs Curtis Ashford of their intention to have Jacinda return to Port Charles to provide testimony on specific issues. Lucas Jones has a request for his sister Carly in the interim. On Thursday, July 10th, Drew acquires leverage over an adversary. Will he stop Curtis from using Jacinda against him? Jordan is uncertain. In other places, Jordan Ashford questions Portia's assertions. Kai Taylor briefs Curtis in the interim. Will he acknowledge that he provided Drew with his leverage? If Willow is the person to whom Michael lays out his terms, it might be more of a reminder of the rules. In other news, Jocelyn Jacks has some questions for Emma Scorpio Drake. Angry girlfriends and audacious steps at last. Friday, July 11th, Trina Robinson is furious. Could she be furious at Kai for betraying her father and, in turn, her? Rocco Falconeri takes a risk elsewhere. Given that Anna will comfort Emma, a terrible event must occur. Tracy Quartermaine has some warnings for Harrison Chase in the interim. Meanwhile, Lulu will talk about family issues with her mother, Laura Collins. Rocco will undoubtedly be brought up in that conversation. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.